Now, this is very interesting because we talk about all these particular warmongering situations from Joe Biden. We know him on the floor of Iraq, going crazy. We know him giving the thumbs up, Victoria Nuland in the Ukraine. We know he was for the whole situation in Syria, Libya. But we sometimes forget that my name is Joe Biden and John McCain is my friend. He lost his warmonger friend. Now, this is kind of an interesting article that was written. And this was written by a guy named James George Jatras. He's an analyst, a former U.S. diplomat, and a foreign policy advisor to the Senate GOP leadership. He was definitely like more for Donald Trump in the beginning, but kind of like Max Kaiser, seeing his policies and whatnot. I wouldn't think that this gentleman right here, would vote for Donald Trump again, but he gives solid advice when it comes to diplomatic affairs and whatnot. Definitely more of that kind of mentality of like non-interventionist and wants us to get out of there and stuff. And the article is really great. It talks about what's going to happen on Election Day and what's going on there and stuff. But I just want to concentrate on the title and go down to the part where he talks about Serbia. Before the Bidens did Ukraine, did all these other countries, did Serbia. So go down to, but first there was Serbia. We know what he did in Iraq. We know what he did in the floor. He sewed up the Senate over there. But let's talk about Serbia because we forget about this one, fam. Too many people remember Iraq. Some have a clue about Ukraine, but Serbia, which preceded them, is off the radar screen for most Americans. To recap, as a senator in the 1990s, Joe Biden was one of the most militant advocates of the U.S. military action against the Serbs during the breakup of the Yugoslavia Federation. From Croatia, then in Bosnia, and then in Serbia's province of Kosovo. Was a regime change. Let's get it straight. Regime change Joe. Jihadist Joe. As has been said about others like Hillary Clinton and the late John McCain, who he cried for, Biden evidently has never met a war he didn't like. Along with Hillary, in 2003, Biden helped whip the Senate Democrat votes to the Bush-Cheney Iraq war, channeling his inner John McCain. Biden continually called for the U.S. to bomb the Serbs, while in foreshadowing of the Osama bin Laden, Biden administration, the Obama administration, I'm saying I get it mixed up, support for jihadists in Libya and Syria. Okay, so he did this way before he supported the jihadists over there. He pushed successfully for sending weapons to the Islamist regime in Bosnia, and then for the U.S. to arm the Islamo-narco-terrorist group known as the Kosovo Liberation Army. So once again, he funded the opposition over there as well. Joe Biden was the primary sponsor of the March 1999 Kosovo war authorization for military action against the Serbia and Montenegro. Johnny, I have that up right there just to make sure we have the proof. I would like to show that real quick, the bill or the resolution. There it is, just so we know. And if we go down on the bottom, it will say, and let me put this up right here. So I have it right there. Mr. Biden for himself, Mr. Warner, Mr. Levin, Mr. Byrd, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Hagel, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Lautenberg, Mr. Lieberman, and Mr. Robb submitted the following concurrent resolution, which was considered and agreed to. Now, don't get me wrong, it came to a dead heat in the House, fam. They didn't get passed through, whatnot. But then Clinton went along with the bombing. He said that God told him, and they went and involved themselves in another regime change across the board. The reason why I brought this up is that we're so quick to talk about all these other wars and whatnot that we forget about this one. This was in regime change fashion. This really also put a wedge between us and Russia. A lot of Russians were really, really pissed that we got involved in this, but we supported a group that was just authoritarian AF.
Surprise!
Mafia-style mentality, almost like what we did in Honduras when we removed Manuel Zelaya. So I'm not going to say that there was no problems in the country, but once again, we involved ourselves, stuck our nose in there, we funded, we bombed, and there's still issues with babies being born over there, being born with, what do you call those, deformities? Mm-hmm. Or is that the right word?
Yeah.
So you're a TV doctor, so that's what I ask you and stuff, but you understand the nuclear waste that was left behind when it does to the birth and stuff and the radiation. That's still going on over there from our bombing years ago. So I just wanted to put it back on the map, fam, that we can't forget about Kosovo, the Serbian situation. Joe Biden was once again on the forefront pushing for regime change, bombing innocent people, civilians were killed, and Joe was at the head of it. So why would we do this?
If I feel like God told me to bomb all these politicians and behead them and guillotine them.
Yes.
Am I allowed to do that? If they can do that,
Nancy
am I allowed to do
Pelosi.
that?
What's that?
I'm just wondering.
I
Like
heard
God
some-
told me. Yeah.
God says-
God just said.
Go to
to do
Nancy's
this.
house and protest.
Go to Nancy's house and bring a guillotine. Okay, God, thank you so much. I will do that.
But that's literally what he did. That's
mean,
literally
this
what he
is
did.
fucking ridiculous.
The Clinton machine, and it's so funny, too, with everything that's going on right now. When you think about Russiagate, you got to look at the other implications and stuff, right? So you got the Clintons going ahead and do this. Well, Obama and the Clintons have their little Biden. Well, they have their little own kind of like Game of Thrones kind of power struggle within the Democratic Party. And I think that when this stuff was brought to Obama was like, well, hey, man, maybe I could kill two birds with one stone. I can kill my number one political rival in Donald Trump and all his little clan, and I can also get rid of Hillary Clinton, and she can sync with this whole situation. And that's what the kind of mentality was going on. I never looked at it that way, but if you start going over what happened and the timeline when it happened and how it went through Obama and whatnot, it's like he almost like let it happen. Mm-hmm. So he thought it would fall back solely on Clinton. But now he's in the weeds himself with the Obamagate, knowing that he knew this stuff was going on, and he allowed it to happen. And Joe Biden was in the room when they sucked the dogs on General Flynn, and they said, we're going to continue to spy on the Trump campaign. So he knew, it's just crazy, fam. And just get back to this right here. The clans working together. Biden didn't get his plan passed through, so Clinton was told by God, so he bombed in Serbia and Kosovo. And there you got it. Jihadist Joe, regime change Joe, is awful when it comes to foreign policy across the board, fam. We're talking 47 years. So when Trump says, there are millions of people who have been killed by your foreign policy over there, you're awful, wrong, fake news, Joe is bad. He's not lying. He's not lying. Joe Biden was awful. It was a 78-day NATO bombing campaign. So many civilian lives were taken, fam. This was bullshit, and at the head of it was the Clintons and the Bidens, period. They're warmongering, authoritarian Nazi bastards.
But they're not Donald Trump, so you have to suck it up and vote for the other fascists because... Wait, which fascist are we talking about? Wait, I don't know.
Johnny, if you go to that 2007, go down a little bit. That one comment, it says in 2007.
Oh, 2007 was when he also wanted to
Oh, yeah, no, you're going the right way. I'm sorry, the other way. It says in 2007, what he does. So, fam, this is what they do. Next paragraph, my bad. Next paragraph. No, one more paragraph down. It says in 2007 what he declared the thing.
The thing. He's starting to sound like Joe Biden. That
was the 78-day campaign, right? Right? So keep going down. The next paragraph right there. In 2007, Senator Biden praised the new order as a victory for Muslim democracy and a much-needed example of successful U.S.-Muslim partnership. So there they go. You know what I'm saying? They use religion, they use identity politics, they use all this shit to lump it in and to throw it on the public like, yo, these Muslims are being persecuted. I'm going to help them. I'm going to bomb a bunch of Orthodox Christians over there, and we're going to give them their own land. How about that? You know what I'm saying? They twist the narrative. They do what they got to do. And they did it here as well. And the people buy it. Disgusting.
The people buy it because they have the propaganda machine telling them what to think.
Just stay the frig out of there, fam. Just stay out of people's business.
No, they're not going to listen to you. Why would they listen to you if you're voting for them?
Yeah, no shit.